Pineapple and eye health may seem like an unlikely pairing, yet this bright golden fruit carries a quiet story well worth exploring. Over the next half hour, you will see a series of simple preparations that bring pineapple together with familiar companions such as carrot and lemon, while we explore its nutrients, its remarkable journey through history, the place it holds in kitchens around the world, and the easiest ways to make it part of a daily routine that supports healthy vision. Everything here is practical, affordable, and rooted in ordinary food. So let us look more closely at why a fruit this sweet deserves a real place in the conversation about your eyes. The first thing to understand about pineapple is its extraordinary generosity with vitamin C. A single cup of fresh pineapple chunks offers close to 80 milligrams of this vitamin, which covers most of what an adult needs across an entire day. That number matters more for your eyes than it might first appear. Vitamin C gathers in remarkably high concentrations inside the eye, especially in the clear fluid that fills the front chamber and in the lens itself. There, it works as one of the body's frontline antioxidants, helping to calm the small, restless molecules that form whenever living tissue is exposed to light and oxygen. And the eye, more than almost any organ, lives in a constant flood of light. Here is a useful way to picture it. Think of the eye as a living camera, working from the moment you wake until the moment you close it at night. Light streams through the clear dome at the front, called the cornea, passes through the lens, and lands on the retina, a delicate light-sensitive screen at the very back of the eye. Every step of that process creates a little wear, a little oxidative stress. Antioxidants like vitamin C form part of the quiet maintenance crew that keeps this system running smoothly, day after day, year after year. Pineapple, sweet and humble as it is, supplies a meaningful share of that raw material. Vitamin C does something else for the eyes that often goes unnoticed. It is essential for building collagen, the protein that gives structure to tissues throughout the body, including the cornea and the fine walls of the tiny blood vessels that feed the eye. A steady supply of vitamin C helps keep these delicate structures resilient. So when you enjoy pineapple, you are not only adding an antioxidant to your day, you are also offering the raw material for the quiet, ongoing work of keeping the eye's own architecture strong. In a moment, the reason this fruit ever became precious will make that everyday value feel even more remarkable. This connects to a simple and refreshing idea worth keeping in mind. A cup of fresh pineapple, blended with half a peeled carrot and a small splash of water, creates a naturally sweet drink that pairs pineapple's vitamin C with the carrot's rich orange pigment. Enjoyed in the morning, it makes a gentle, colorful start to the day. To help the body absorb the fat-soluble compounds in the carrot, a single teaspoon of flaxseed oil stirred into the finished drink is all it takes. Keep the oil cool and unheated, added right at the end, so its delicate character stays intact. This small habit turns two ordinary ingredients into a bright, eye-friendly glass. That orange pigment in the carrot deserves a moment of its own, because it introduces one of the most important characters in the entire story of vision. It is called beta-carotene, and the body can convert it into vitamin A. Vitamin A sits at the very heart of how we see, especially in dim light. Deep inside the retina lives a light-sensitive pigment that depends on vitamin A to rebuild itself each time it responds to light. When that supply is steady, the eyes adjust more comfortably to darkness, to the shift from a bright street into a shadowed room, to the soft gray of early morning. Pineapple itself carries only a modest amount of beta-carotene, which is exactly why it pairs so beautifully with more richly colored produce. One ingredient rarely does everything. The real magic lives in the combination. Vitamin A does more than help you see in the dark. It also helps maintain the moist, healthy surface at the very front of the eye, the layer that a stable film of tears keeps smooth and clear. And here is a practical secret about pigments like beta-carotene, lutein, and zeaxanthin. They are fat-soluble, which means the body absorbs them far more easily when a little healthy fat shares the meal. Think of that small amount of fat as a gentle escort, carrying these precious pigments across into the body where they can do their quiet work. This is exactly why a single teaspoon of flaxseed oil, stirred cool into a finished blend or drizzled over a colorful salad, is such a thoughtful touch. A humble spoonful helps unlock the full value of everything colorful on the plate. Now, the story becomes more interesting, because to understand why pineapple was ever considered precious, we have to travel back several centuries and across an entire ocean. This fruit is native to South America, most likely the region between southern Brazil and Paraguay. Long before it reached the wider world, indigenous communities cultivated it, carried it, and spread it across the continent and into the islands of the Caribbean. They prized it so highly that one of its oldest names, passed down through the Tupi language, translates roughly as excellent fruit. That name, in various forms, still echoes across many languages today. There is a small mystery hidden even in its English name. Long ago, the word pineapple was used for the cones of pine trees, and when Europeans first saw this strange, scaled golden fruit, its resemblance to a giant pine cone gave it the name we still use. So the word itself is a little fossil of that first astonished impression. A memory of the moment a familiar-looking shape held a completely unfamiliar sweetness inside. When European ships arrived in the Caribbean in the 1490s, the crews encountered pineapple for the first time and carried it home as a marvel. And here the story takes a turn that is almost hard to believe. In the cool climate of Europe, pineapple could barely be grown, and each fruit that survived the long sea voyage became a symbol of extraordinary wealth. For a time, a single pineapple could cost a small fortune. Wealthy households displayed them at grand banquets not to eat, but simply to show. Some were even rented for an evening, passed from table to table as a glittering centerpiece, then returned to the shop. A fruit you can now buy for the price of a coffee was once one of the most exclusive objects in a European home. That obsession ran so deep that gardeners built special heated glass houses just to coax a single pineapple into ripening, competing with one another for the honor of growing one. The fruit became a symbol of welcome and hospitality, its shape carved into gateposts, stitched into linens, and shaped into the tops of bedposts and staircases. Imagine that, a humble tropical fruit, so admired that its silhouette became a language of generosity in stone and wood. That contrast between its ordinary price today and its royal status centuries ago is a quiet reminder of how easily we overlook the true treasures sitting in an ordinary kitchen. The pineapple's journey did not end there. Over time, cultivation spread across the warm regions of the world. In the early 20th century, vast plantations transformed islands like Hawaii into famous centers of pineapple growing. And today, the fruit thrives in places like Costa Rica, the Philippines, and Thailand. There is something quietly humbling in how a pineapple actually grows. Each plant produces a single fruit, and that fruit can take well over a year, often 18 months to 2 years, to fully mature. All that patience, all that sunlight and soil and time poured into one golden crown. And here is a lovely detail for the curious. The leafy crown on top can be trimmed, dried for a day, and planted, slowly growing into a brand new pineapple plant. A little piece many people throw away holds the beginning of the next fruit. Step back, and the scale of it all is striking. That same fruit, once so rare that a single one could quiet a room, is now grown by the millions across the tropics, and countries like Costa Rica ship it around the globe so that a pineapple picked near the equator can appear in a market far to the north within days. The old name has traveled just as far. In much of the world, the fruit is still called by a version of that ancient word meaning excellent fruit, a small thread of language connecting a shopper today to the very first people who prized it centuries ago. From a single tough crown to endless sunlit fields, from a symbol of royalty to a simple weekday snack, few foods have journeyed quite so far while staying so completely themselves. Let us return to the eyes and to another nutrient where pineapple genuinely shines. Beyond vitamin C, pineapple is one of the richest common fruits in a mineral called manganese. A single serving can supply a large share of the whole day's requirement. Manganese rarely gets attention, yet it plays a supporting role in one of the body's most important antioxidant systems, an internal enzyme that helps defend cells against oxidative stress from the inside. For tissues as active and light exposed as those in the eye, that kind of quiet, built-in protection is genuinely valuable. So while pineapple's sweetness is the first thing you notice, some of its most meaningful gifts are the ones you cannot taste at all. Consider what the eye quietly endures every single day. It sits open to the world, bathed in light and oxygen for every waking hour. And that constant exposure creates a slow trickle of oxidative stress, a little like sunlight gradually fading a bright fabric left in a sunny window. The body answers this with a layered defense. Some of it arrives from the foods we eat, in the form of antioxidants like vitamin C. And some of it is built into our own cells, in protective enzyme systems that rely on minerals such as manganese and copper. Pineapple, remarkably, offers a hand in both directions at once, delivering vitamin C from the outside while supplying minerals that support the defense working from within. One small, sweet fruit, quietly assisting two different layers of the very same protection. Pineapple also carries a gentle supporting cast of other nutrients. Copper, which works alongside manganese in those same protective enzyme systems, along with small amounts of B vitamins, folate, and potassium. None of these arrives in dramatic quantities, and that is perfectly fine. The value of a fruit like this is not in one towering nutrient, but in the pleasant, well-rounded package it offers, wrapped in natural sweetness and a generous amount of water. This is exactly the kind of food that makes eating well feel effortless rather than like a task. And there is something worth savoring in that idea. So much of caring for our health can feel like effort, like discipline, like one more thing to remember. Yet here is a food that asks for none of that. It is sweet, it is bright, it is a pleasure to eat. And it happens to be quietly good for you at the same time. Perhaps the gentlest path to healthy eyes and a healthy body is not built from strict rules at all, but from small, enjoyable choices repeated often. A colorful glass here, a fresh slice there, until good habits feel less like a chore and more like a simple daily delight. This is a good moment for another simple preparation. Fresh pineapple carries a natural warmth of flavor that pairs surprisingly well with sweet bell pepper. A few chunks of pineapple combined with a handful of chopped red bell pepper, either blended into a light, savory sweet drink, or simply tossed together as a bright, refreshing mixture, brings together two generous sources of vitamin C. Red bell pepper also offers its own colorful plant pigments, the kind associated with eye health, making this an unexpected but genuinely eye-friendly pairing. It is the sort of combination that turns a familiar fruit into something new and a little surprising. A question many people ask is whether pineapple is best eaten whole or enjoyed as a drink. Both have their place, and understanding the difference helps you choose well for any given moment. In its whole form, pineapple keeps all of its natural fiber, which slows the release of its natural sugars and supports comfortable, steady digestion. As a fresh juice or blended drink, it becomes more concentrated and convenient, delivering certain nutrients and natural sugars in a smaller, quicker serving. A balanced approach is to favor the whole fruit often and to enjoy juice in modest amounts, perhaps a small glass of around 150 milliliters, ideally alongside a meal or lightly diluted with water. That way the flavor stays bright while the natural sugars settle more gently through the day. Pineapple has long kept good company with ginger, and the two together make a preparation worth knowing by heart. A cup of fresh pineapple blended with a small thumb-sized piece of fresh ginger creates a lively, warming drink with a pleasant, spicy bite. Ginger has been valued across many traditions for supporting healthy circulation, and steady circulation matters everywhere in the body, including the fine network of vessels that nourishes the eyes. For a gentler version, the same pairing can be softened with water, or a few thin slices of ginger and a few pieces of pineapple can be steeped in warm water for several minutes to make a soothing, lightly flavored infusion. Enjoyed in the late morning or early afternoon, it feels both refreshing and comforting at once. There is a beautiful simplicity in how these flavors layer upon one another. Add a squeeze of fresh lemon to that pineapple and ginger combination, and you brighten the whole thing while stacking yet another source of vitamin C on top. Pineapple, ginger, and lemon together make a drink that feels almost restorative, tangy and warm in the same sip. A small glass in the first half of the day is plenty. When the flavor feels too strong, a little water softens it into something you can sip slowly and enjoy without any rush. One small detail changes how this fruit fits into a routine, and it is coming shortly. Now, consider a detail that often surprises people. Part of what makes pineapple so distinctive is a natural group of enzymes it contains, known collectively as bromelain. These enzymes have the fascinating ability to break down proteins, which is why fresh pineapple has long been used to tenderize meat, and why eating a very generous amount can leave a faint, harmless tingle on the tongue, a small signal of those active enzymes at work. Bromelain has drawn interest for its traditional association with digestion and with the body's natural response to inflammation. While it is not a treatment for any condition, it is part of what gives pineapple its unique character among fruits, and it is one more reason this golden fruit has fascinated cooks and healers for so long. In many warm regions, a few pieces of fresh pineapple after a meal are traditionally enjoyed as a pleasant, natural way to feel light and comfortable afterward. If the tingle ever feels strong, pairing pineapple with other foods, or simply enjoying a slightly smaller portion, keeps the experience gentle. Those same enzymes create one of the kitchen's most surprising little tricks. Fresh pineapple will keep a gelatin dessert from ever setting because the bromelain quietly breaks down the very protein that gelatin needs to firm up. Cooks have puzzled over this for generations. It is a small, harmless reminder that this fruit is quietly busy, full of natural activity that sets it apart from almost anything else in the fruit bowl. A gentle brush of warm heat calms those enzymes, which is why cooked pineapple behaves quite differently from fresh, and why the fresh form is the one that carries that lively, tingling character. Choosing a good pineapple is a skill worth having, and the signs are easier to read than you might expect. Look first at the color near the base, where a warm golden tone often signals ripeness. Then bring it close and breathe in near the bottom of the fruit. A ripe pineapple offers a sweet, honeyed fragrance right there at the stem end. The fruit should feel firm, with just a slight give when gently pressed, and it should feel pleasantly heavy for its size, a sign that it is full of juice. Fresh green crown leaves suggest it was harvested recently. And here is a detail many people never learn, one that changes how you shop. A pineapple builds nearly all of its sweetness while it is still on the plant, and it stops gaining sugar once it is picked. So while it may soften a little over a few days at home, the fragrance you notice at the store is essentially the sweetness you will bring home. Choosing a fragrant one is the whole secret. Once you have your pineapple, keeping it at its best is simple. A whole pineapple is happy at room temperature for a day or two, and it keeps for several more days in the refrigerator. Once it is cut, the pieces stay fresh in a sealed container in the refrigerator for around 3 to 4 days. And here is a wonderful trick for anyone who loves a cold, creamy drink. Pineapple chunks freeze beautifully. Spread them on a tray, freeze them until solid, then move them into a sealed bag where they will keep for several months. Frozen pineapple blends into a naturally sweet, frosty base for a smoothie, with no ice required, and it means a fruit you bought on a whim never goes to waste. A little planning turns one pineapple into weeks of small pleasures. Preparing a pineapple efficiently comes down to a clear, calm approach. Rinsing the outside under cool running water before cutting is a sensible everyday habit, since the knife travels through the skin and into the flesh, and a soft brush helps clean the textured surface. From there, the crown and base come off first. The fruit stands upright, while the skin is sliced away down the sides, and the small firm eyes are trimmed out. The core is firmer than the surrounding flesh, yet it is entirely edible. It carries plenty of that bromelain, and rather than being thrown away, it can be blended into drinks or sliced thin and steeped in water. Nothing about this fruit needs to be wasted. That leads to one of the simplest ideas of all, and one of the most refreshing on a warm day. Pineapple water. A handful of fresh pineapple pieces, or even the clean, trimmed core, left to steep in a jug of cool water for a few hours, releases a soft, natural sweetness into the water. It becomes a lightly flavored drink that makes staying hydrated genuinely pleasant without any added sugar. And hydration is far more connected to the eyes than most people realize. The surface of the eye depends on a healthy, stable film of tears to stay comfortable, smooth, and clear. Sipping water throughout the day, especially in a form as inviting as this, is one of the kindest and most overlooked habits for everyday eye comfort. There is another cooling drink worth keeping in your quiet collection, and it leans even further into hydration. A few pieces of fresh pineapple, combined with several slices of cool cucumber and a jug of water, make a wonderfully light and refreshing cooler. Cucumber is almost entirely water itself, so the two together create a drink that is gently sweet, deeply hydrating, and perfect for a warm afternoon or a long, focused day. Left to sit for an hour so the flavors mingle, then sipped slowly, it is one of the easiest ways to keep your fluids up when plain water feels a little dull. This matters more than ever in a world of screens. When we look at a screen for long stretches, we tend to blink far less often than usual, and the surface of the eye can begin to feel dry and tired. Staying well hydrated, taking gentle pauses to look into the distance, and remembering to blink fully all help the eyes stay comfortable through a busy day. A pleasant, fruit-scented drink close at hand becomes a small and lovely nudge to keep sipping, and to give your eyes the moisture they quietly rely on. Let us build a little further on the idea of color and variety, because this is truly where pineapple does its finest work for your eyes. On its own, pineapple is a supporting player in vision, contributing vitamin C, manganese, hydration, and antioxidant richness. Its greatest strength appears when it joins a colorful plate. A blend of pineapple, carrot, and a piece of sweet apple is a lovely example. The apple adds gentle sweetness and soft fiber. The carrot brings its beta-carotene, and the pineapple ties everything together with brightness and vitamin C. It is affordable, it is quick, and it turns 3 ordinary ingredients into something genuinely nourishing. The traditional explanation for eating a rainbow of foods is beautiful in its simplicity, and the modern understanding of plant pigments adds an even deeper layer to why it works. Traditional kitchens around the world have long understood the value of combining fruits with fresh green leaves, and pineapple is a natural partner for this. A small handful of tender celery leaves, blended with fresh pineapple, adds a subtle savory note along with a trace of the pigments that leafy greens are known for. It becomes a gentle, green-tinged drink, unusual at first sip, but pleasant once you grow used to it. This is the spirit of traditional fresh food wisdom at its best, using whatever greens happen to be on hand to quietly enrich a simple fruit rather than letting them go to waste. Among all the leafy companions, one stands out for eye health in particular, and that is parsley. Parsley is quietly one of the most eye-friendly herbs in an ordinary kitchen, naturally rich in the pigments lutein and zeaxanthin, along with vitamin A and vitamin C. These two pigments are especially interesting because they gather in the retina itself, in the central region responsible for the sharp, detailed vision you use to read a face or a page, where they help filter harsh, intense light. A small handful of fresh parsley blended with a cup of pineapple creates a vivid green drink that marries pineapple's sweetness and vitamin C with parsley's remarkable pigment content. For anyone thinking seriously about foods for vision, this humble, inexpensive pairing punches far above its weight. It is worth pausing on those two pigments, lutein and zeaxanthin, because they tell a beautiful story about how food connects directly to sight. Picture them as a pair of natural filters, settling into the most precious part of the retina and softening the impact of intense light. A little like a built-in pair of sunglasses woven from the pigments of plants. The body cannot make them on its own, so every bit of them comes from what we choose to eat. Pineapple is not a major source of these two, which is precisely why weaving it together with green leaves, or simply enjoying it as part of a varied, colorful diet, makes so much sense. The fruit brings the vitamin C and the pure enjoyment. The greens bring the pigments. Together, they support the eyes far better than either one could alone. This is really the heart of eating for your eyes and for your whole body. No single food carries every nutrient the eyes need, and no single meal makes or breaks your health. What matters is the gentle accumulation of variety and color over weeks and months, the oranges and reds of carrots and peppers, the deep greens of parsley and leafy herbs, the sunny gold of pineapple, each one contributing its own small gift. When your plate looks a little like a garden, your body tends to receive a bit of everything it quietly needs. Pineapple earns its place in that garden not by doing everything alone, but by being a joyful, affordable, vitamin-rich thread woven all through a colorful way of eating. For a lighter, more aromatic preparation, pineapple and fresh mint are a classic pairing that feels wonderfully cooling. A few pineapple pieces with a few torn mint leaves, either blended into a refreshing drink or simply combined as a fresh fruit bowl, makes a bright and fragrant treat. Mint adds a cooling lift and a lovely aroma, turning a plain serving of pineapple into something that feels a little special and celebratory. On a warm afternoon, it is hard to imagine anything more pleasant, and it is a gentle way to enjoy the fruit whole, with all of its natural fiber intact. There is also a place for pineapple at the table in a fully savory form, and this is where a thoughtful salad can quietly become a meal for your eyes. Combine fresh pineapple chunks with a generous bed of leafy greens, and finish the whole thing with a light dressing built around a single teaspoon of flaxseed oil. The greens supply their lutein and zeaxanthin, the pineapple brings brightness and vitamin C, and that small amount of flaxseed oil, kept cool and drizzled over the finished salad, helps the body absorb the fat-soluble pigments the greens provide. It is a simple, complete, and genuinely eye-supportive plate, and it shows how naturally pineapple crosses the line from sweet treat to savory nourishment. By now, a clear picture is forming of how pineapple truly fits into eye health, and honesty here matters more than hype. It is not a cure, and it is not a miracle. It belongs instead to the steady, everyday world of good nutrition, where consistency matters far more than any single food eaten once. Its contributions are real and worth valuing. a generous supply of vitamin C for the eye's antioxidant defenses, and its collagen, manganese, and copper to support the body's own protective enzyme systems, water to help keep tissues comfortable and hydrated, and a natural sweetness that makes healthy eating a pleasure rather than a chore. And when it shares a plate or a glass with richly colored vegetables and fresh green herbs, it becomes part of something far greater than itself. The most useful part of all may be the simplest detail of the day. Let us talk plainly about how much and how often, because moderation is where all of this quietly comes together. Pineapple is sweet, and it carries natural sugars, so a comfortable everyday approach is a serving of around 1 cup of fresh chunks, a few times a week, enjoyed as part of a varied diet that is rich in vegetables and greens. In juice or blended form, a modest glass in the first half of the day sits well with most routines, especially when it is paired with food or lightly diluted with water. Because pineapple is naturally tangy, those with a sensitive stomach often find it gentlest when it is combined with other foods rather than enjoyed entirely alone on an empty stomach. These are not strict rules, simply gentle guidance to help the fruit always feel its best in your body. The beauty of pineapple is how effortlessly it fits into real life and how little it asks of you. It needs very little equipment. A knife, a board, and a bowl are enough to enjoy it whole. A simple blender opens the door to smoothies and colorful blended drinks. A jug and some cool water turn it into a refreshing infusion. There is no need for costly supplements, rare powders, or specialty products when a single affordable fruit, chosen well and paired thoughtfully with other everyday foods, offers so much. This is nutrition at its most accessible, the kind that fits a modest budget and a busy life without any fuss or complication. It can help to imagine how pineapple might weave through an ordinary day. The morning is a natural home for it, when a colorful, blended drink of pineapple and carrot, finished with that teaspoon of flaxseed oil, brings brightness and gentle energy to the start of things. Around midday, a small bowl of fresh chunks alongside a savory meal offers a sweet, digestive-friendly finish. And on a warm afternoon, a tall glass of pineapple water, or that cucumber cooler, keeps hydration effortless and pleasant. Nothing about this needs to be rigid. The point is simply that a single affordable fruit can quietly appear in several small, enjoyable ways across a day, each one adding a little something to your nutrition and your eye comfort with almost no effort at all. As we bring these many ideas together near the end, a few gentle habits stand out as the most useful ones to carry with you. Favor the whole fruit often, for its fiber and its slow, comfortable sweetness, and treat juice as an occasional, concentrated pleasure enjoyed in modest amounts. Let pineapple share the plate with color, with carrot, with green leaves like parsley, so that its vitamin C and brightness join forces with the pigments those foods provide so generously. And when a preparation includes those colorful vegetables and greens, a teaspoon of flaxseed oil, kept cool and added right at the end, helps your body make the very most of their fat-soluble treasures. Around all of it, keep water close, perhaps flavored gently with a few pieces of pineapple, so that hydration becomes a small pleasure rather than an afterthought. In the end, pineapple offers a quiet lesson that reaches well beyond the eyes. A fruit once so rare that it crowned the tables of royalty and became a symbol of welcome now waits, ordinary and affordable, in nearly every market in the world. Its golden color, its honeyed aroma, and its bright sunny flavor carry within them vitamin C, manganese, hydration, and a long and remarkable history. On its own, it is a small and lovely pleasure. Beside a carrot, a handful of parsley, or a bed of fresh greens, it becomes part of a colorful, nourishing way of eating that supports not only healthy vision, but the whole body working quietly together. And perhaps that is the real gift of this humble golden fruit. A gentle reminder that caring for yourself and for your eyes can be as simple as affordable, and as genuinely delicious as a single slice of pineapple shared with the good, fresh foods that surround it every day.